Change over time is a life science unit incorporating ideas about life cycles, inheritance and variation of traits, and natural selection. Let's look into the unit at a glance. This unit covers several third-grade life science standards about life cycles, inheritance and variation, environmental influence of traits, and how traits influence survival and reproduction. Each of the next generation science standards correspond to a Missouri Learning Standard listed in parentheses on this chart. Take a moment to pause the video and review them. In this unit, students try to figure out why animals and plants look the way they do. The anchoring phenomenon used to connect students to the science content is the story of a scientist who collects katydids. This scientist finds more green katydids than pink katydids. Why are there more green than pink? Why are there pink katydids? After each lesson, students will reflect to consider what they have learned that will help them figure out the answers to the questions they have about why organisms look the way they do. The design challenge for this unit is in Lesson 4. Closely connected to the anchoring phenomenon of traits in pink katydids, students are tasked with developing a model to show how a different organism's life cycle compares to a katydid's life cycle, or to other life cycles their peers choose. Students figure out that accurate and detailed scientific drawings are useful models that can allow scientists to compare and discuss different things we observe. Now that we have an idea about what students will study in this unit, take a look at the unit flowchart. This unit is divided into 3 sections, and there are 7 lessons total. Section 1 asks students to consider the life cycle of an individual plant or animal. This section will take about 6 days, plus some observation of plant growth over time. Here is the content level big idea for Section 1 and how students will figure it out. Students plant seeds, observe mealworms, watch time-lapse videos, and read to figure out that plants and animals each have their own unique life cycles, but share the pattern of birth, growth, reproduction, and death. They will continue to apply this knowledge to the other sections of this unit. Section 2 asks students to research specific life cycles and create detailed scientific models to compare organisms. This section will take about 6 days. In Section 2, students use books, cards, and other media to practice creating scientific drawings. They have the chance to refine one of their drawn models from Section 1 to be more scientific. They then use their new skill to develop scientific models to compare life cycles of 2 different organisms. Section 3 asks students to move from the individual life cycle level to considering what causes organism traits, how traits might influence an organism's life cycle, and how the traits in a group of organisms might change over time because of the environment. This section will take about 6 days. Students play a matching game with dog and puppy cards, analyze data from the game for patterns, read about inheritance, and consider overfeeding of a dog in order to figure out that traits can either be inherited from parents or caused by environmental factors. Offspring and parents look similar to, yet different than, one another. These ideas about inheritance and variation of traits will lay the foundation for the next lessons, where students will consider how traits affect survival of an individual, and how traits in a group are varied and can change over time because of natural selection. Students conduct an investigation using colored toothpicks to simulate how camouflage can help certain individuals in a group of organisms survive better than others that are not well camouflaged. They will graph their data and connect what they figured out back to the idea of life cycles. Organisms with well-suited traits complete their life cycle more often than others with poorly suited traits. Students use paper moths to then simulate how a group of organisms might change over time because of this, and construct an argument based on evidence from the toothpick and moth activities. They then apply this knowledge to the pink katydid phenomenon to explain why the scientists found less pink katydids than green ones. By the end of this unit, students will understand organism life cycles, inheritance and variation of traits, and how traits impact completion of a life cycle and appearance of a group of organisms over time. For more information, visit our website, myscipartners.com. mySci, inspiring the next generation of scientists.